Alright, so this is a demo of how to draw from a reference photo. So we're going to be practicing drawing from this picture here, which is just kind of the edge of a baseball mitt. We're going to be doing it in your sketchbook with our pencils and erasers in a 2 by 2 inch square. So I've gone ahead and I've already drawn my square here. Now we have two kind of big steps for drawing from a reference photo. Our first step is to draw in the edges and shapes with our HB pencil. So I'm going to find my HB pencil. And looking at this reference photo up here, I have a couple of tips for you. So I like to not only look at the object itself, so the positive space, but I like to look at the negative space that it creates. So it creates this kind of nice shape right here that I am going to sketch in first. So I see that the end of this baseball mitt kind of comes out of the frame right about there. And then on the right side, it's right about there. So first I'm going to map that out for myself. And then I'm going to sketch in that shape that I'm seeing. And remember, you're going to sketch lightly with your pencil, so that way you don't get any ghost lines. And you always have erasers, so you can erase any extra lines. Like I draw lots of extra lines for myself. And erase the ones that I don't need. Okay, so I'm going to do a quick check. That negative space looks pretty similar, so I'm going to keep going, drawing in the other edges that I see. Again, sketching lightly. Looking at where things kind of enter and exit my frame. I feel like that needs to be a little bit more round. Now with shapes like this, don't let that intimidate you. I know that looks pretty complicated, but we can break that down into simple shapes. So I'm going to start with, it kind of looks like the letter E, to be honest. So I'm just going to start by sketching in those kind of curly shapes that I see. And then it's just like a little rectangle coming out of the top of that. And last, this little piece of lace in between there. Okay, so check, I did my first step. I drew in my edges and shapes with my HB pencil. Next, I'm just going to start matching my values. So I'm going to look at my reference photo and recreate those values on my drawing. Now, when we talked about value, I had some analogies for you. So I called our value scale that looks like this, stair steps, because you can see that visible difference between each shade. It's almost like going up or down a staircase. And then I called these gradations, which are nice and smooth and you can't see any transitions, a slide. So in your reference photo, you're going to be looking for those stair steps and slides. Things like this baseball mitt and reference photos in general don't have solid outlines, kind of like a black cartoon outline, like I printed off a little SpongeBob so we could talk about him. With cartoons, we have edges and like dark black lines that define our form, but in reference photos, we only have our kind of stair steps and slides. So I'll point out a couple to you. So if we're looking at the lacing over here, we have this really bright value, and then we get a stair step over, and that's a dark value of the baseball mitt. That's how our eye sees that edge right there. It's a stair step, lighter value next to a darker value. We have the same thing over here. We have a lighter value next to a darker value, and that's how we see that edge. We also have slides, so like this right here is kind of a really, we could say like fast slide from a bright value to a dark value. Here we have a medium to a dark over here. So looking for those different stair step and slide values, I'm going to start matching my values on my baseball mitt, and I'm just going to do a little section for you. So I'm going to work first just over here, getting this kind of corner of my baseball mitt drawn in, and now that I'm looking at it, I need to move this lace over. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to shade in this space behind first, and that's kind of like a pretty regular gray. I'm using my 2B pencil to do this. It's nice and sharp. I'm using good craftsmanship. I'm going a little bit fast just for the sake of this video. But I'm going to lay in that value, and then I think I might actually need to do a layer of my HB pencil because it's looking a little bit grainy. And that just means that I need a harder pencil. I should have done a base layer, but I didn't. So I did my 2B, and now I'm doing my HB. And it's a little bit, that photo is kind of darker towards this upper corner here. So I'm going to shade that a little bit darker. Okay, so I have that value there. Now I'm going to do kind of this slide gradation of the lace itself because it's bright white and then it fades to a darker value. So I'm going to start that with my 2H pencil and just shade like a barely there, light value, and then move my way down here. Still using my 2H pencil just for this base value. And then I'm going to grab my HB pencil and start to darken that little slide gradation that I see. And it's definitely darker towards that left corner or that left edge over here than it is the right edge. Okay, so I'm going to do a quick check. I have a medium gray value there. I have a light value right there, and it gets darker. I can still kind of see my stair step between. I'm going to maybe darken this part of my glove a little bit more so it pops. But that is how you start shading the baseball mitt. When you are done, it should look something like this, which looks a little bit funny just because of the lights in my room, but that's kind of more true to the values that I do have on there. So looking for those stair step and slide gradations, I can go ahead and finish my drawing.